Hey there, my retro ringmasters and knockout nostalgics. Today we're stepping into the pixelated boxing ring of the classic NES game that punched its way into gaming history, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! You think boxing is just about floating like a butterfly and stinging like a bee? Well, stick around as we uncover how Little Mac's underdog story isn't just about dodging and weaving, but about decoding the secrets behind one of the game's most legendary titles. Get ready for some hard-hitting facts and knockout revelations that will have you seeing stars.
Look at here. Anytime you get a chance to go head-to-head with the champ, you gotta take it. I'm really proud of what me and Lil Mac accomplished tonight.
Our story starts with the development of Punch-Out! As a classic tale of creativity meets opportunity. Initially, the arcade version didn't feature Mike Tyson. It starred a nameless, green-haired boxer. So how did one of the most feared boxers end up in a Nintendo game? It was a serendipitous dinner between Nintendo of America's founder, Miyanoru Akawara, and Tyson's manager that changed the game's fate. Enthralled by Tyson's rising stardom and his explosive knockout power, Arakawa sensed a perfect blend for Nintendo's new game, aiming to bolster the game's appeal with Mike Tyson's likeness. The game's development was led by a creative trio from Nintendo: Genyo Takeda, who is often considered one of Nintendo's first game designers, Makoto Wada, director and graphic designer, and composer Kenji Yamamoto, whose catchy tunes encapsulated the game's upbeat tempo. This team aimed to craft a game that was more than just boxing. They wanted a game that felt like a series of boss battles, each with unique patterns and tells that players had to master. This wasn't just game design, it was psychological warfare in pixel form. The inclusion of Tyson was not just a marketing gimmick, but a design inspiration. Developers meticulously studied Tyson's fighting style, translating his imitating, fast-paced boxing into the game's final boss, making him notoriously difficult to beat, mimicking real life. The deal to include Tyson was a bargain by today's standard, costing Nintendo a mere $50,000 for a 3-year contract right before Tyson became the youngest heavyweight champion, which could explain why later versions of the game rebranded it just to Punch-Out! Featured Mr. Dream instead of Tyson following the contract's conclusion amidst Tyson's controversial career moments. But now stepping back into the ring of Punch-Out!, you don't just face a series of generic bruisers. You meet a culturally diverse and quirky lineup of boxers, each crafted with a distinct personality and fighting style that contributes to the game's global appeal and strategic depth. At the heart of this colorful roster is the underdog protagonist, Little Mac, a small but mighty fighter from the Bronx. His size isn't just for show, it's a core gameplay mechanic. Players must capitalize on Mac's agility and speed to outmaneuver opponents who are physically larger and stronger, embodying the classic David vs. Goliath scenario. The genius behind these characters wasn't just in their design, but in their integration into the gameplay narrative. Each opponent Little Mac faces is more than a step up in difficulty. There's a storyline progression, from Glass Joe, the penurial defeated Frenchman, to the final, intimidating battle with Mike Tyson. Each match is a story of perseverance and tactics. The developers intentionally infused each character with exaggerated national stereotypes, which, while controversial today, served as a humorous method to add personality during an era of limited graphics. Take Soda Popinski from the USSR, originally named Vodka Drunkinski in the arcade version, a nod to stereotypes that was later altered for the NES release to better suit a younger audience. These characterizations, though simplistic, made each fighter memorable and often humorous, contributing to the game's lasting impact on pop culture. But in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!, the gameplay mechanics are a fascinating blend of precision, timing, and strategic depth, transforming what could have been a standard sports game into a compelling series of tactical battles. The control scheme is simple: move, dodge, and punch. The magic lies in how these controls are utilized against a roster of opponents who each require a unique approach to defeat. Each fighter in the game follows a specific pattern or set of tells that the player must observe and react to. It's not just about hammering buttons, it's about watching, waiting, and striking at the opportune time. For example, Bald Bull charges at Little Mac with his signature bull charge, and only a perfectly timed punch will knock him down, not just out. This design choice elevates the gameplay from mere reaction tests to mental duels, where players must memorize patterns and execute flawless timing to progress. And speaking of executing flawless moves, if you're enjoying this deep dive into the pixelated precision of Punch-Out's gameplay, why not knock out that like button and deliver a championship-winning subscribe click? It helps more than dodging Glass Joe's left hook. Trust me. Moreover, the game cleverly uses visual and audio cues to signal upcoming attacks, teaching players to anticipate rather than react. This not only makes the game more engaging, but also more rewarding, as mastering these cues feels like decoding a secret language between boxer and coach. The integration of a stamina meter, which depletes with every thrown punch and regenerates over time, adds a layer of strategy, forcing players to balance aggression with conservation. But Mike Tyson's Punch-Out not only tested players' reflexes and strategic thinking, it also became a commercial juggernaut, solidifying its status as one of the most influential video games of the 1980s. Released at the time when the NES was dominating living rooms across America, the game quickly became a staple of the console's library, thanks to its engaging gameplay and the star power of Mike Tyson, one of the most recognizable athletes of the decade. From a sales perspective, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out was a knockout, selling over 1 million copies worldwide. This was a significant achievement, especially considering the game's unique blend of sports simulation and arcade-style combat, which wasn't typical for popular games at that time. The success of Punch-Out contributed to the NES's growing dominance in the video game market and helped establish Nintendo as a leading name in home entertainment. But this game is not just remembered for its engaging gameplay and charismatic lineup of fighters. It's also a title that spawned a vibrant community of speedrunners who continually push the boundaries of what is possible within the digital boxing ring. The game's precise mechanics and pattern-based challenges make it a perfect candidate for speedrunning, where players strive to complete the game as quickly as possible, often exploiting the smallest of gameplay mechanics to shave off seconds. One of the most renowned feats in the Punch-Out speedrunning community is the discovery of specific frame-perfect punches that can instantly knock down opponents. These punches require precise timing and an intimate knowledge of the game's internal clock, which governs the behavior of the fighters. Speedrunners have meticulously analyzed the game's code to understand and predict these patterns, turning each fight into a carefully choreographed dance of swift punches and dodges. A landmark moment in the Punch-Out speedrunning scene was when a player known as Summoning Salt achieved what was once thought impossible, defeating Mike Tyson in the first round. This achievement was the result of countless hours of practice and deep analysis of Tyson's fight pattern, exploiting a narrow window where Tyson is vulnerable to a knockdown. Moreover, the speedrunning community has unearthed several Easter eggs and secrets that even the casual player might not have noticed. For example, a bearded man in the audience provides visual cues when to throw a knockout punch against certain opponents. These discoveries not only contribute to faster runtimes, but also enrich the gameplay experience, revealing depth and detail that a casual player might not uncover. The dedication of the speedrunning community has kept Mike Tyson's Punch-Out alive in the gaming world long after its release, demonstrating the game's intricate design and its capacity to challenge and fascinate players decades later. This ongoing engagement with the game highlights exceptional design and enduring appeal, cementing its status as a classic in the world of video gaming. And there you have it, gamers, your ringside seat to the pixel-pounding speedrunning saga of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Whether you're a boxing enthusiast, a lover of classic gaming, or just someone who enjoys Little Mac punch way above his weight class, this game has something for everyone. Until next time, keep your gloves up and your game strong. Ding ding, gamers. Ding ding. If you enjoyed getting back into the ring with the history of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, click this video here to see more from the Retro Reload. And as always, thank you for watching.